Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Carissa Cedar, and I am the producer at the Buhl Planetarium at Carnegie Science Center. And we are here for another bite-sized Buhl today. And I am sitting here with our planetarium software, Digistar, and we are going to take a little flight through our solar system today. So let's get a quick tour and take a look at all of our planetary neighbors. So we're going to get things set up over here and take a look at our current sky. And we'll get things swapped over here. So let's take a look at what's up in our sky right now. Obviously, we've got the sun. It is daytime. It is a little cloudy outside my window right now, but we're not going to stay on Earth. We're going to head up above the clouds. So let's get ready to take off. A lot of what we see in the sky, well, pretty much everything we see in the sky is from our perspective right here on Earth, right? When we look up at the sky at night, we are viewing the universe from our home planet. But that is not the only view that exists out there. There's a lot more we can see. So we're going to kind of fly around tonight and see what else is out there. So of course we have our beautiful home planet, but we're going to get a little further away. Now, as we fly out, we're going to see our moon fly by there. Our moon is our closest neighbor in space at about 240,000 miles away on average. So we'll see the orbit of our moon there as we get a little bit further out. And there's our sun, right? The very center of our solar system. And we can see the orbits of our major planets as well. So we're going to take a look at some of these today. Now, of course, the closest planet to our sun, we'll start from the very beginning, right? We'll start from what's closest and work our way out. So we're going to head to the closest planet to our sun, and that is, of course, the planet Mercury. And there we can see it right there in front of us. So let's make our way in. Mercury moves really fast, a lot faster than the Earth does. It has to orbit the sun a lot faster in order to stay in a stable orbit and not get any closer to the sun than it already is. It's a very small planet as well. And it looks very similar, you might notice, to the Earth's moon. It's covered in these craters. Lots of craters on Mercury. It does not have a protective atmosphere like we have on Earth. So anytime any space rocks come flying by, they will just crash into the surface of Mercury, covering it in all of these marks. It is such a beautiful planet though. Mercury is very, very hot. It gets very hot during the daytime because it is so close to the sun. However, it's not always hot on Mercury. In fact, the nighttime side of Mercury, the side that faces away from the sun, because Mercury has no atmosphere to hold in that heat, it loses all of it at night. So it can be very cold, like minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit at night on Mercury. So very, very big temperature fluctuations on this planet because it is so close to the sun there. But when it's in its own shadow, very, very cold. You can see how big the sun looks from here as well. Always awesome to visit Mercury. But let's head off to the second planet from the sun. That, of course, is the planet Venus. So let's check in and see where Venus is. There it is, not too far away. Let's head in for a closer look. Venus is a really exciting place to look at, and it is visible in our skies, very close to the sun right now. We can't quite see it. It's a little too close to the sun. The sun is a lot brighter, right? So, but Venus will be popping into our early morning skies soon. But we can see Venus is a beautiful planet. It is covered in thick, dense clouds. It has a very thick atmosphere of mostly carbon dioxide and sulfuric clouds there that create this blanket over the surface of Venus. So we can't actually see the surface at all. Every day is a cloudy day on Venus. Now, if we were to take a closer look here, we can try to fade down those clouds and see what we could see below the surface. Without those clouds, Venus is covered in this very striking surface, lots of volcanoes and lava flows on Venus. You can see this is a radar image taken by a spacecraft that orbited around Venus and actually peered through those clouds using looking at different wavelengths. So not invisible light, but we can see in infrared light, the surface of Venus has mountains, it has valleys, volcanoes, and lava flows like we have on Earth, except a lot more. It's a very hostile environment on Venus. The surface pressure is very extreme. So it's not really a safe place to send human beings, at least not with the technology that we have right now. And it's also really hard to send robots to the surface of Venus. There have been robots on Venus, but they don't tend to last very long because it is a crushing atmosphere. However, there's lots of potential to explore Venus's upper atmosphere, which is less hostile of an environment. Temperatures are a lot more reasonable up there. On the surface of Venus, this is actually the hottest planet in the solar system. Temperatures reach about 900 degrees Fahrenheit day and night on Venus because it is closer to the sun and it holds on to that heat. Venus has a runaway greenhouse effect, so that atmosphere really drives up the heat. But the further up in the atmosphere you go, the temperature goes down, which is why Venus's extended atmosphere is kind of a place we're looking to explore in the future. Always love looking at Venus, though. It is beautiful in our sky from Earth. It's also beautiful up close. Now, I don't want to neglect our home planet, so we'll go and visit Earth as well really quick here. The third planet from the sun, the Earth lives in an area around our star called the habitable zone. It is an area where we're not too close and we're not too far away from the sun, right? Temperatures are just right for liquid water to exist. And liquid water is one of the things that we think is most essential for life. So life as we know it requires water in some way, and it is pretty perfect for us. And we can see Earth is an ocean planet. It is covered in water, all those city lights as well, we can see at night. But this beautiful blue planet, very, very hospitable for us here. And has life on Earth kind of formed exactly for these conditions that exist. And these are conditions that we're also starting to look outside our solar system for. And studying the Earth can help us understand where we might find life on other planets around other stars. And so scientists are scanning the sky and mapping out what are called exoplanets, which are planets around other stars. And they're looking at these planets and they're basically taking all of the best features that we know on Earth. So distance from our star and the temperatures here. And does it have a solid surface? Does it have a protective atmosphere that can protect it from radiation and debris out in space? Does it have conditions that could sustain liquid water? And if it does, potentials are very good that maybe life could exist there as well. So lots of these planets to explore, but are none quite so perfect that we found yet as our beautiful planet Earth. So just the right distance from our star for us here. Any closer, it's too hot. Any further away, it's too cold. And our next planet lives on the very edge of that habitable zone. The very edge, it's a little cold out there, but we're gonna head to our next planet. It's the planet Mars, that red orbit there that you can see. So let's find out where Mars is. There it is. So we're gonna head over there right now. Mars has that red orbit. Mars is known as the red planet. And as we fly in, you'll see why. Mars is the red planet because it is covered in iron oxide, or what we call rust. So it has lots of iron in its soil, which gives it that rusty red appearance. And as we get the daylight side here, we'll get a better view of our red planet. Here it is. Check it out. Mars is definitely a place that we are going to visit someday. Human beings are getting ready to visit Mars and explore the surface. We can see lots of features on Mars that remind us of the Earth. In fact, over here, I see one right here. Mars does have ice caps, just like we have ice caps here on Earth that grow and shrink with our seasons. So does Mars. Now, Marses are not made of water ice. They're mostly made of frozen carbon dioxide, or what we call dry ice. They do have some water ice, though. In fact, we have found signs, lots of signs of water on Mars. Mars used to have a lot of liquid water on its surface. We find evidence of dried riverbeds and lakes that are great places for exploration. There is a rover on Mars right now, the Perseverance rover, that's exploring the bed of an ancient lake on Mars. It's called Jezero Crater. It used to be filled with water. And just like we find life in water on Earth, that's why these sites are being explored on Mars, because we think maybe Mars could have once been able to sustain life on its surface, because it lives at the very edge of that habitable zone. So Mars is definitely a really, really interesting candidate for exploration. That's why we've sent so many rovers there, and it's why we're going to be sending humans there as well in the near future. Very, very exciting place to look at. All right, so as we head away from Mars, we'll get a view of our solar system again, and we can actually see an area past Mars. Lots of little dots here. So this is an area of our solar system called the asteroid belt. And all of these little dots are representing individual asteroids. Now we've grown them up a lot larger than they actually would be out in space, just so we can see them. In fact, these asteroids, there are hundreds of thousands of them. There's a lot of them out there, but they're occupying a really huge area of the solar system. So if you were standing on an asteroid and looking out in space, you probably would not see another one around you because they are very far away from one another. Space is huge, so this covers a vast portion of the solar system here. But we can see if we grow their data points a lot, there's a lot of them, and we can see how they're distributed here past the orbit of Mars. These are basically ancient space rocks. A lot of them are rocky or metallic, and they give us kind of a view of what our early solar system looked like. And before the planets formed, there was lots of debris floating around out there that hadn't really pulled together in these larger objects yet. So we can see there could have potentially been a planet in this orbital area here, but they didn't quite pull together. So we have all of these asteroids floating around in the asteroid belts. So let's get to take a look at our outer solar system now. We've looked at our inner rocky planets, right? Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. So let's head out and visit our outer planets next. Now, the next one is the largest in our solar system, and it is the planet Jupiter. Right there, we can see the orbit of Jupiter. So let's fly in for a closer look. Jupiter is definitely one of my favorites. It's a really, really cool planet to see. The largest planet in our solar system. So it's about 10 times as wide as the Earth. You can fit over 300 Earths inside of it. It is massive. And it is also a really interesting planet to look at. So we can see, actually, you might be able to see very faintly, Jupiter has rings. Now, it is not the planet that is famous for its rings, that one we're going to visit next, but all of our gas giants do have rings. They're just very, very faint here. It does have rings, but we can see here the upper atmosphere of Jupiter and those beautiful clouds and stripes. Jupiter is a gas giant, so it does not have a solid surface to stand on like we have on Earth. It is basically a big ball of clouds and gas, and all those swirling clouds you see, lots of different storms raging on Jupiter. A very dynamic atmosphere, so it's interesting to image Jupiter over time. We can actually see and watch those clouds swirling and moving around. Those cloud bands tend to rotate in different directions as well. So it's very interesting to study the weather on Jupiter. But we can see these oval shapes. Those are basically like huge hurricanes on Jupiter. Bigger than any hurricanes we ever have here on Earth. That's for sure. This planet is massive. A lot of those storms can even be bigger than the Earth itself. Now, what else is really cool about Jupiter is it has lots of moons. And we're going to take a look right now at just its 4 largest moons. Now, Jupiter has at least 79 moons at last count, but these are its 4 largest. And these 4 you can actually see for yourself if you have a pair of binoculars. So you don't even need a telescope. All you need are binoculars, and you can look through and see, you might see what look like 4 stars on either side of Jupiter. But they are the Galilean moons. Their names are Callisto, Europa, Ganymede, and Io. You can find them lined up on either side of Jupiter, and it kind of resembles a mini solar system of its own, right? These moons orbit in the same plane around Jupiter. I always love getting to get a look at Jupiter in the night sky. I think you can still see it for now. It's going to be leaving our evening sky very soon. It's setting shortly after the sun sets. So we can see another amazing planet in our evening sky at times here. We'll visit our next one, planet Saturn. We can see the one right after Jupiter. So we'll fly in for a closer look. Now, of course, Saturn is the planet that is most famous for its rings. And right away, we can see them here clearly in view. What a beautiful planet. Saturn's rings are about 175,000 miles wide from side to side, but on average, they're only about 30 feet thick. Now, Saturn is another gas giant here. And those rings, very, very thin rings, so we can actually see them at times edge on. Saturn actually wobbles a little bit in its orbit over a period of about 7 years or so. We can see it kind of either the rings tilted towards us or the rings tilted away from us, or we'll see the rings edge on. It's always an amazing view. We can get a little bit closer look here though, because even though Saturn's rings may look solid, they're not solid. They're actually made of particles of rock and ice and dust. Pieces that range in size from a speck of dust to chunks the size of a house, all in orbit around Saturn. Here we can see a lot of those pieces that make up Saturn's rings. And they orbit in different densities, so we see different areas that look brighter or dimmer. You might even notice a gap in the rings sometimes. See one of those gaps right there. A very amazing planet to visit for sure. And of course, humans have not been out here yet, but we have sent robots out here as well. The Cassini mission was one of the most amazing missions that have been sent out in our solar system. A robotic probe that orbited Saturn for a long time, took a lot of amazing images of this planet. So if you're ever wanting to see really cool space pictures, you can look up Saturn Cassini, see some of the amazing things it was able to do. So we'll bid farewell to Saturn for now. We're going to head out even further. Our next planet is probably one of the most underrated planets in our solar system, but definitely, I think, one of the most beautiful. So that green orbit there, we can see belongs to Uranus. So let's head there next. Uranus, another gas giant. So our outer solar system filled with these gas giants. And the really cool thing about Uranus is that it actually spins on its side. So something really big a long time ago actually ran into and collided with Uranus and actually knocked it over on its side. So, as we'll see here in a second, see, it actually rotates sideways, and its axes are pointing kind of towards the sun, which is very unusual. Usually they're up and down for other planets. We can also see the rings of Uranus here. Again, very faint, but very, very beautiful. And quite extensive as well. Now, Uranus gets its color from a mostly methane gas atmosphere. It has this beautiful kind of blue-green color to it. And something else amazing about the atmosphere on Uranus is it could actually be raining diamonds. Scientists on Earth were able to recreate the atmosphere of Uranus, and when compressed enough, they were able to create diamonds. So it could actually be raining diamonds on this planet. You can see very smooth atmosphere, but a few clouds as well. There is some weather there as well, quite a bit of weather. Not quite as dynamic looking as Jupiter, but we have that fairly uniform color. What a gorgeous planet. All right, so we're gonna depart Uranus here, and we're gonna head back out to our solar system view and see what's next. Our most distant planet, our most distant major planet, we will visit. You can see it out here. It is the blue orbit there, on the very outside. So we'll go in and see the planet Neptune. That is our most distant major planet. Now remember how he said Mercury spins very fast around the sun to go in order to keep from falling into it. The further away we get, the planets actually move a lot slower. And Neptune moves so slow it actually takes 164 years, Earth years, for it to make one complete orbit around the sun. So Neptune has been chugging along way out here very, very slowly for a very long time. 164 Earth years to complete one orbit. Now we can see, again, another gas giant, beautiful blue color, similar in composition to Uranus, and it has rings as well, very, very faint rings. Neptune is known to be a very windy planet, so it has winds that are very, very fast, a lot faster than any hurricanes we have on Earth. Every so often it will get hurricane dark spots on its in its atmosphere. Not be happening right now, but you can see beautiful blue color there. It was named after the god of the sea due to its color. But it does not have an ocean, even though it looks like an ocean planet. A beautiful gas giant, no solid surface, all those clouds and gas. So we got a great look at our solar system here. We get one last top-down view here of everything. I don't want to leave everyone stranded out here in space. You know what? There's one more place we can visit really quick. And I know there's always someone when I'm doing the show in the planetarium, everyone always yells to see it. So we'll make sure we go there here as well. We're going to visit Pluto. Pluto is a dwarf planet, and it orbits very far away from the sun, actually past the orbit of Neptune, but sometimes closer than the orbit of Neptune. You can see there. Pluto's orbit, very unusual. We can see it does not line up with the rest of the planets. It's tilted about 17 degrees. But let's go take a look at the dwarf planet Pluto. This will be our last stop today. Now, Pluto is reclassified as a dwarf planet because out in this neighborhood of the solar system, scientists started finding a lot of other things that are kind of shaped just like Pluto and in similar size. So Pluto is not the only thing like this out here. There are lots of dwarf planets in our solar system, but Pluto was kind of the first one to be explored a lot. Now we have images of Pluto thanks to the New Horizons space probe, a mission that flew by Pluto in 2015, and it didn't orbit Pluto, it flew past it. So it was able to take images of Pluto really quickly, but we don't actually have a complete map of the globe of Pluto. We only can see kind of one side of it. But very famous is this feature here. From afar, it looks the shape of a heart, but this is a plain of nitrogen ice on Pluto. It's a very smooth plain. It's actually surrounded by mountains. So Pluto also has icy mountains on its surface. And it turned out to be a really dynamic looking planet. We were not a dwarf planet, rather. We were not expecting that. We didn't really know what to expect when we saw Pluto. Before New Horizons, we never really had clear images at all of this object. So really exciting thing, the New Horizons mission, as we continue to sort through the information it was able to get us and explore these different craters and ice mountains and plains, and yes, an atmosphere. A very thin atmosphere, but it extends pretty far from Pluto itself, from the surface. So it's a really interesting place to explore. And the more we learn about Pluto, the more we can learn about the other objects in this part of our solar system as well. There's lots of things out there for us to look at. And there's lots of things left to discover. But we are going to head back to where things are a little more familiar. We're going to go back to our home planet of Earth. So let's take a quick flight here. And we'll go back home, past the outer solar system, back towards those inner planets, our rocky planets, past our moon, and back to Earth. So we had an awesome tour of the solar system today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I definitely had a lot of fun flying you all around today, getting a look at these beautiful places that we get to see in our solar system. But for now, that brings us to the end of today's bite-sized Buhl. We definitely miss seeing you all at the Buhl Planetarium. So come by and see us when we're open again in April. We would love to show all of this to you and more. We have lots of exciting programming coming up. So thank you all so much for joining us today. But for now, that is the end of our show. So have a great day, everyone.